great pleasure to introduce Bill Draper. He is a legend in the Valley. Anybody who has ever crossed paths in Silicon Valley or who's lived here, it's hard to miss Bill Draper's name. Bill, welcome.
Thank you very much. So glad to be here.
You have been a veteran of the Valley. You have seen different cycles. Valley has itself changed so much, but Valley has contributed so much to the entrepreneurial ecosystem throughout the world. Especially in these troubling times when economy is taking a battering, when the very image of America's capitalism has taken a battering in some circles in the world. How do you think we can promote entrepreneurship? Because it's not a new idea. Every country, every culture has their own set of entrepreneurs. But the culture of Valley is very unique. The ecosystem is very unique. Everybody gets a shot, not once, but twice and thrice. I wanted your views on that.
You're exactly right. That the Western United States is more, by virtue of the people that came here years ago, is more risk-taking than, say, Boston. As a result, the attitude toward failure is not so negative. A man might fail 2 or 3 times and still have a lot of juice left, and so venture capitalists don't frown on a former failure. I was with the first venture capital company in the West named Draper, Gaither and Anderson, and that was my father who started that firm. And I stayed with them about 3 years before starting Sutter Hill Ventures. But we used to go out and knock on doors and there were mostly orchards that had cut open a place for a plant, and if there was electronics on the door, we'd knock and talk to the president. He always wanted to talk about his business, but venture capital was not a term known out here when I started in 1959. And now the Valley has probably 300 venture capitalists. The last 5 years for venture capital has been soft. Not a good time to make investments because the valuations were so high, and sometimes weaker entrepreneurs would find the money was available because we made a lot of money in the early days. The returns at Sutter Hill, my firm, were about 40% per year IRR. And so Wall Street came out and poured a lot of money here. And I think too much money has been here over the last 5 years in billion-dollar venture firms that have not been able to find the high-quality entrepreneurs that make it work. I mean, venture capitalists are nothing without an entrepreneur. But the entrepreneur needs the venture capitalist, so it's a yin and yang, it's a synergistic kind of a relationship.
For most of the audience, I want to them to understand that venture capital is very different in its fundamentals compared to an investor or a banker. You not only give money, you nurture the talent.
Correct.
And you have huge connections, which is not purely for the sake of connecting him or her, but to make the company prosper with the right talent.
Yeah, a good venture capitalist mentors the entrepreneur who's young, perhaps first time in management, bright, came out of perhaps Stanford with a double E and a big idea, but needs guidance on rounding out the team, putting a business plan together for the future, and structuring the financial plan, but also contacts, as you pointed out. The next round of financing might be rounded up by the venture capitalist rather than taking the time of the entrepreneur. But it's the entrepreneur at the top who's really the key, and if he's not, or she is not the right one, and by the way, we've backed many female entrepreneurs, and they've been terrific, and many immigrants who are in the country have so it's great variety. You can't pin down who's going to be an entrepreneur. It's a vast panoply of talent that comes, and some make it and some don't, and you don't quite know why. Sometimes the brightest and the most logical winner turns out to be a loser, and sometimes the one who you think, well, let's give him a chance, but maybe I don't think we're going to make much. Let's not put in too much money. And all of a sudden, step by step, he builds a brilliant, big industry.
No, I was talking to you in the beginning of our interview, the unique culture of Silicon Valley. People have tried to emulate this or take this model and try to replicate this on the East Coast, replicate this in Ireland, in Israel, in India, Bangalore.
Sure.
But I think every country has a unique culture, like I said, of entrepreneurship. And they took bits and pieces of Silicon Valley and tried to do it, but successful to a limited extent. What is so unique, you think, here?
Stanford University is one, because they revved up their engineering right after the war. Stanford took an interest in commercializing some of the technical products and services that came through their education at Stanford. Bill Hewlett and Packard were brought together by the Stanford provost. So Stanford is one. The weather is two. So that somebody that went to Stanford wants to start a company, he doesn't go to New Jersey because he's seen God's country. The weather is two. Three, the venture capital community came in pretty early, 1959. We had to struggle to find different, opportunities. But they became, somebody was saying, well, innovation occurs and then venture capital pours in. Well, it's true, but it's also true to say that if venture capital is there, innovation is encouraged. And so the combination is very important. So you have the weather, the very great research institution, and you have the talent that is willing to, the venture capital talent that's willing to work with the entrepreneur and take the risks.
You know, the world looks up to us as a country to lead at many fronts, and capitalism was one of those. The current economic conditions and the Wall Street has tarnished that reputation. We need to re-emphasize that, yes, we stand at the forefront of a great opportunity which lies ahead after this current crisis goes away. So we're looking for bold entrepreneurs. As a policy, this might be a good thing. What is your take?
This might be a good thing, meaning
to promote entrepreneurship across the globe.
I think it's a very good thing, and I think it should be encouraged, and I think the logical places for the nurturing of this would be places that have good research competence within the a university. Say, India has 7 or so Indian Institute of Technology. Marvelous background for starting up venture capitalists and starting up entrepreneurs. Now, I started the first venture firm in India, the very first. It was Draper International. We made 16 times the limited partners' money by cross-bordering a variety of investment. We did about 25, and in 6 years we returned 16 times the limited partners.